Ba-ba-da-bow-bow, Banger Management, Fantasy Hockey Podcast. Woo!
Woo! Woo!
Woo!
For Jakey, who is
Still in our
currently
hearts.
in Japan. Guys, I feel like every episode we're mentioning Jakey's name because we do not want you to forget him. Banger Management is a trio, guys. It's not a duo. If you're new here, we do have our third host, and he is not
real,
in
I
my
swear.
basement. Yeah, exactly. But welcome in everybody to Banger Management, the fantasy hockey podcast with Kevin and Josh, and Jakey, our third host, in spirit today because he's currently on vacation in Japan. So listen,
and
we'd
he's
rather
real.
be here with you. We could have gone. We decided we prefer the podcast. So listen, no shade to Jakey, but shade.
We're the ones who are here.
We're the ones that are here. And neither of us have ever missed an episode, and thank God for that because we are the two best hosts, and there's nothing anybody else can say about that.
Big note. Anyone else wants to disagree, they can speak up now.
Yes. Crickets. But welcome. Today we are covering the Week 12 news and updates from around the NHL, and the famous Would You Rathers are back again for another occurrence. Before we get into it, though, gonna hope everybody is having a happy holidays. This is gonna come out shortly right before Christmas, which is really fun.
Holiday special.
Even though Week 12 is a tricky fantasy week, the content is still coming out, so hopefully everybody enjoys. Hopefully everybody spends some quality time with family and friends and your loved ones. And speaking of loved ones, make sure you join more loved ones in the Discord community. I don't know if that was a good segue or not. But if not already in the Discord, join. The link is in the description of wherever you're listening to this, either on podcast or on YouTube or anything. So join the community. It's growing. It's super fun. We're talking trades. We're talking start sits. We're talking pickups, everything, all that good stuff. We even had our inaugural Banger Management League draft where some fans just were itching for another draft, and they started the draft in the middle of the year in the Discord, and that was really fun. So we're going to be following those teams. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, leave a like. We really appreciate it. And listen, if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple or whatever, just click that follow button. So that way, every time the new episodes come out, you'll be notified. And if you like what you hear, rate us 5 stars. But with that said, let's get into it. We have a lot of news to cover and the Would You Rathers.
Wow, that was great. I'm glad I didn't have to do that part. All right, let's dive right into some news. We had a couple of trades because there was kind of like a mini trade deadline with the holiday freeze.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into some massive ones. We had Mason Marchment traded to Columbus for a 2nd and a 4th round pick. He's currently playing line 1, power play 2. I think that roster is wide open, and anyone who shows any glimpse of offense is going to get the opportunity. So he's an interesting watch list guy. He's shown in the past he can provide bangers. So, I mean, I'm not running to grab him, but
he just had one good game, played almost 20 minutes a night. So listen, something to monitor. But I will say though, like Columbus right now is kind of like their lines are in the blender right now. It feels like they're splitting all their best players over 3 lines. So whether that sticks, I doubt it. I feel like they're just trying the combinations to see what works because they've been in a rut. So I expect over the next week or two we'll have some more stability and how it actually shakes out. Because I don't think Sean Monahan should be the 3rd line center, and I don't think Charlie Coyle should be centering Kirill Marchenko, who is the best player on this team. So we'll see how that goes. But for now, I think Marchment, if you're in a really deep league, he could be worth a shot just to see. Like, he has some banger in him a little bit. He can be a shots hits guy. And listen, if he's getting good deployment playing 20 minutes a night, he should be able to put up some points as well. So something to monitor.
Yep, absolutely. All right, next big trade, we had Phil Danault was traded to Montreal for a 2nd round pick. This is a good depth addition for the Habs. Not that fantasy relevant outside of face-off win leagues, though, but it's a fun reunion for us Habs fans because last time we saw Phil on the Habs was our Stanley Cup Finals run. Mm-hmm. So only good memories, and it's a big need that we need right now with a defensive center, especially if Jake Evans is out for a bit.
Yeah, I was going to say with Jake Evans, I feel like Montreal kind of had their hands pushed a little bit into making a move like this, but I'm happy to know he's back. Like he's good for the culture here. I think he already has a relationship with the star players on this team. Like we saw him and Caulfield had a little bromance in the playoff run last time. So but for fantasy, like you said, I think he's great for faceoffs, which not many leagues have. Ours does. But besides that, he's not really going to get you shots, hits, or blocks. So maybe some shorthanded points exposure, given he probably plays on the PK. But I don't think he gets any power play exposure. So
no. All right, so that's it for that mini trade deadline. It was very exciting, but lucky for us, I think there's still going to be more to come over the course of the season. Let's move into some classic injury news. Here's one that, look, I never like to hope for someone to get injured, but when I'm number one on the hater list, I can't say I'm too upset. We have JT Miller week to week with an upper body injury. Alexis Lafreniere currently taking a spot on power play one. That's another situation where I just think they're going to keep cycling it. So Laf could take it, Cooley can take it. They have Scott Morrow at the power play quarterback
They
right
one
now.
shift on the power play. They did well, and then the next game, like Gavrikov got a shift at power play one. So
it's a mess in New York right now. So this is a big loss, obviously, for, like, even though he's been pretty awful this year compared to where you drafted him, he's still a pretty solid guy to have in bangers, especially with faceoff wins. He does the shots, faceoff wins hits, and then he was actually kind of heating up a little bit. So it's definitely a big loss to your team. But yeah, that's just an IR stash. And then I'm not rushing to pick up Lafreniere with the deployment. Just we saw what he did with it earlier, and he kind of sucks. And honestly, the team kind of sucks. Like, they just keep getting shut out. It's kind of incredible. So
they actually had like a great game where they came back and won it after being down like 4-2 in the third. So that was encouraging. Yeah, and then the next game they just kind of like they dropped the ball after. So a lot of inconsistencies, but they're pretty banged up too. So they're still trying to find their stride. But like I had Panarin, and I was complaining throughout the week, but also he had like so many shots this week. He had like an 8-shot game. He had like 2 8-shot games and a 6-shot game in a stretch of like 4 or 5 games. So
I mean, he's the only guy left, right? Like,
yeah. And Trocheck's been pretty nasty too. Like Trocheck you got him for your bangers leagues with faceoffs too. Like he's just always a stud. But yeah, are you trying to buy low on JT though? Given the injury just happened, I saw his shoulder in a sling. I think so. Week to week,
the way I see it, like, I mean, I was actually gonna ask you this. Do you think that, like, because clearly, I think it's pretty clear to everyone that when he got injured in like preseason, that I think he came back too soon. I think he was still playing injured. He just clearly has not seemed like the JT we know he can be. So I wonder if the fact that he got this other injury that kind of is forcing him to sit out for a bit, do we think that maybe it'll also give him a chance to heal from whatever was nagging him from the preseason, and then he could come back stronger?
He's the type of guy that never wants to rest or like take any games off. He's also the captain of this team now. Like, whether you agree with it or not, like he's the guy, and he's like the vocal leader. So I think for him to miss time, it's like forcing him to recuperate a little bit. So like you said, it actually might be a blessing in disguise. It just depends how much time he misses, because he's like usually a shoo-in for the Team USA roster. So we'll see. And the Olympics are in February, so I don't know if he's gonna be in jeopardy of missing the Olympics. But I know he's gonna do everything in his power to not miss it. So
yeah, I think they said that like he should be fine for Olympics. So I think that's kind of like his target. If you're looking at a date when he might be coming back, it should be right before Olympics.
So I'm guessing like 3 to 4 weeks is my guess from now.
Damn,
like probably end of January.
I realize the Olympics are so close. Like,
I know.
It's already like the holiday season is crazy. The time flies.
2026 is in literally 2 weeks.
I know, that's actually insane. But yeah, so in terms of buying low on him, I'd say, first of all, if your league isn't like a bangers with face-off wins, like, I'm not that interested.
Yeah.
The main thing that's interesting is, yes, the bangers and also the playoff schedule. We've talked about it a lot, but week 21 to 23, Rangers have a great schedule, and the upside is there. And if the same person who drafted him has held on to him this long and now this injury, I could see them being so fed up with JT that maybe you can get him for really cheap.
Yep.
So all that to say, yes, I would buy low on him if you can get him cheap enough, but I'm not like dying to get him.
Let me give you some names, because like if JT is on a team that's in the bottom of your standings and you're near the top of your standings and you can afford to just pick up an IR stash, would you trade like a Dylan Gunther for him?
Yes, absolutely.
And this is just Proface prefacing that you're in a league that has hits as a category or points for hits, because that's where JT really thrives, because he gets you like shots, hits, and the power play and the points exposure. Face-off wins, it's even better. Like in our league of record, we have all those categories and PIMs, and he's like a first-round pick because he touches all of those. So Dylan Gunther, I think you can swap. I think maybe.
Also, the reason that I'm saying
Kevin Fiala?
Yes so quick. The reason I said so quickly yes to Gunther is because they also have a really bad playoff schedule. Just putting that out there. Yeah, I would do Fiala as well.
Okay, I think you can do that.
Names.
Yeah. Kiefer
Because
Sherwood, if you're lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. These are all names that are like, they're good players you're happy to have on your roster, but like, even if Miller comes back and does what he's been doing this season with the playoff schedule, I'd still rather have him than these players going into the playoffs.
Yep.
If your league has the cast that we discussed, obviously.
Yep.
So now's a great time to buy. Like, honestly, I would try and buy him if I didn't already sell him.
Yeah. I think the owner is committed now. Like, he gave up McDavid for JT. Like, his success rides on JT unless he's able to get like good value for him. I don't think he's going to sell him on the low.
Yeah,
But yeah.
absolutely.
All right, let's move
All
on.
right, let's move on. Okay, a trio here of some New Jersey Devils news. Starting with the big one, Jack Hughes returned from injury and bumped Andre Palat from line on power play one. No surprise there in the deployment. Huge surprise that he came out of
Yeah.
nowhere. But also, it's not a surprise because he was playing against me and I
Yeah.
magically heal my opponent's players. So, no, that's a crazy kind of come out of
Yeah.
nowhere,
It
and
was like
that's why,
Hellebuck
yeah, that's why I love
and
buying
Mark
these
Stone.
like injured players. Like they never, I won't say never, but and
They're
it
always ahead
depends
of
what
schedule.
player. But yeah, certain guys are like ahead of schedule. Like the guys who are like really important to their team, they're gamers, they want to be in there. I don't know. It just feels like it's always such a huge win when you buy low on these like injured guys. So Hughes
It
came
also
back, then
depends
the
on the
team
injury too. Like he cut his
for
finger.
sure.
Like if it
That's
was like a
fair,
knee
yeah.
injury or something else, like maybe less likely that he's gonna come back ahead of schedule. But like a little finger injury, I'm sure he was
Yeah,
okay.
no, that's fully agree. And kind of on that same topic, Timo Meyer returned from his leave of absence, but he went straight to power play 2. Again,
Yep.
I think that could get mixed around.
Yep.
But this is another one where we actually mentioned, I said
Mm-hmm.
buy low on him because this leave of absence is going to be way shorter than like it seems,
Yep.
and then it was. So like these kind of like non-injury related absences, I'm starting to learn last a lot shorter than people think, but they still have kind of that sense of doom
Yeah.
around them. Like, oh, who knows how long it's going to be?
Because
So
it's not an
definitely,
injury and it's like an off the ice type of thing. So like I mean after we saw the Darlene news, like when Darlene announced that he's taking a leave of absence to be with his wife and everything, we all like obviously wish him the best, but we were like, okay, like is he gone for the season? Like
yeah,
what's happening, And then like it was a few weeks later, he's like, all right, I'm back from indefinite leave. And
yeah.
then same thing with Timo. Like Josh said it on the podcast. So if you guys were listening and you were able to acquire Timo, like Josh said, guys, I know it says indefinite, but we just saw what happened with Darlene. Like you never know how long it's going to be. It's probably on the shorter end. So if you can acquire him, you're probably laughing right now. Even though he got PP2, I expect him to get back some looks on PP1 too. Like it's just
Yeah, I mean, Keith likes splitting it and
yeah,
bumping it around and whatever. And also, like, his banger cats have been elite this
yeah,
year.
yeah.
So you're really happy to have him in that sense. And
Mhm.
then just throwing in there for more Devils news, but Arseny Gritsyuk also returned from injury and went to power play 2.
Yep.
Is this the start of the Devils bounce back? I know you're a Brat owner, so
For
you're
sure.
invested. I mean, anyone who's a Heischer owner, a Brat owner,
I think the window for these
obviously a
with these
Hughes
Devils
owner.
guys is closing right now. If you're able to acquire Heischer, Brat, I think the window is about to slam shut with Jack Hughes back. He already scored and he didn't even shoot that much. I think he had 2 shots in his first game
Yeah.
back. So I expect all the New Jersey Devils to kind of ramp up right now.
Here's a good one, Jacob Markstrom.
Yep, I think he's a good buy low target because he's been awful. He just had an actually really solid game. It was probably his best game of the season that he played. So, but then Jake Allen got the start right after. So you're like, okay, are they still splitting? Like the guy who owns Markstrom, maybe he's not super in tune with the situation, but it's tough because now that there's Jack Hughes back, people are like, I can see people assuming that Jacob Markstrom just going to be back to like his usual self, even though he's been awful and they're going to completely forget that. So it's kind of like a bad opportunity, but I would still
he's
try.
only a buy low if the owner still views him as low.
Yeah.
If the owner's already baking in the Jack
He
Hughes
got dropped
return,
in
then
so
don't
many
bother.
leagues.
Yeah.
Like if you could flip like a UC Saros for him, I would do that.
Yeah.
Or a Jacob Fowler that you picked up and you just got a shutout, and people are like, oh my god, is he the starter for the Habs now? Like if you can flip him for Jacob Markstrom, take that.
All right, let's move on from the Devils, although there's a lot of exciting stuff happening there.
Mm-hmm.
Zach Werenski is day-to-day with a lower body injury after blocking a shot late in the game. Ivan Provorov should take his spot on power play 1, but it could be Severson. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, to be honest, because without Werenski and with how Columbus has been doing, and the fact it's only day-to-day, I'm not rushing to pick up any of the replacements. They did go to get imaging done. It was kind of scary. He had to be helped off the ice, but no broken bones. So he's being labeled as day-to-day, which is a huge sigh of relief for Werenski owners. And for anyone who was hoping to pick up the replacement, it's a bit disappointing.
You guys are listening to this like right before Christmas, like we said, but I think the timing on injuries right now is bad because given that there's a gap, like teams will not risk bringing these guys
for the holidays.
Exactly, they're just gonna shut them down until like the new year probably. So even though he might be day to day and he technically could play like next week, let's say, sorry, I cannot articulate anymore. They probably might shut him down until January. So I would expect him to miss at least a week or two. Anything less than that, I feel like is a cherry on top, and you're happy. But I would be interested in I think Provorov if he gets it. I feel like he's had stretches this year, specifically recently, where he's had a little bit more fantasy value than usual. So if he gets exposure to that power play 1, and he's playing with the best players there, they just got Marchment, maybe they're a little bit having a boost there. So I'd be interested, but I'm not rushing to pick him up.
Yeah, I guess more because it's like in my mind it's such a short-term injury that Yes, you can have him as like a stream, but I'm not like this isn't going to be a make or break
Yeah,
pickup.
yeah. I put him in kind
Okay,
of like
yeah.
the Hampus Lindholm kind of category. When McAvoy went down, it's kind of similar.
Yeah. Only difference is like Lindholm I felt had more staying power because the injury seemed longer for
Yeah,
McAvoy, but
yeah, yeah.
other than that, pretty much exact same. All right. Jack Eichel is out with a lower body injury. Shea Theodore took his spot on power play 1, but then he also got injured and is now week to week. So now it's Noah Hannafin on power play 1, who just put up a 3-assist game with
Yeah.
4 shots and 4 blocks. I know that
Two
because it
power
was
play
against
points.
me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that the Eichel injury seems like it shouldn't be too long. I think he's still being listed as day to day. So
It's so crazy
I'm
because
not.
if it's actually an injury, like they initially listed him as sick, illness.
Vegas is the worst with injury news of any team ever. That's why, like, there was a couple of years there where I was purposely avoiding Vegas goalies because not only are they bad with injury news, they're also terrible at announcing the starter on time.
Yeah.
So it's just like always such a headache to deal with them. Like they just love their secrecy. I mean, remember Mark Stone came back out of nowhere after like being supposed to be gone for months against my team. But anyways, but yeah, no, it's just they're super bad with that. So they said it was illness, like you said, and then it became lower body injury, and it became he's out a couple games, and so I still expect him back within after the holidays, let's say, which isn't that long. But if he's out for any longer term, then Hannafin's a really interesting pickup because Theodore's out week to week, so he's out of the picture for a bit, and Hannafin can do something with that power play 1 spot. The thing is that when Eichel comes back, he gets bumped immediately.
Yep. And I'm like, this might be a brief window where you can actually acquire Jack Eichel, given like he's one of the best centers in fantasy hockey. Like he's arguably a first round pick, producer right now. So if this opens the window even a crack for you to acquire him, it's not going to be cheap. Obviously, it's not going to be a steep injury discount. But if somebody is a little bit nervous with the ambiguity, like the day to day just adds to your case to be able to acquire him, I think. Yeah. So like in our last buy low sell high episode, like I listed Matt Boldy as one of my sell high targets. I'd be trying to acquire Jack Eichel for Matt Boldy.
I love that.
And maybe you might be able to do that in a 2-for-1 where the second piece alongside Boldy is not as elite as usual necessary.
Yeah. Okay, Seth Jarvis is out with an upper body injury. Jackson Blake taking his spot on line 1, power play 1. That looked like a brutal injury. I think they announced he's week to week now, so that's definitely a huge loss to the Canes and to anyone who has him on their team because he's a fantastic player. And Jackson Blake getting that bump. I mean, Blake is a promising young player, so this will definitely help his value. This isn't the best power play unit, so you have to temper your expectations if you grab him. But the deployment's there, and he's a talented player, so I'm definitely interested in picking him up and seeing what he can do.
Man, I love Seth Jarvis. He's actually one of my favorite players. I think arguably he might be the best player on this Carolina team. Like I know Aho is the guy there, but I mean Jarvis is just so talented and he's young too. I feel like he's younger than you would think. I think he's only like 24 or something, but
yeah, I think so.
He's the type of guy that people love to play with too. So this really sucks for them. We expected Nick Ehlers to be maybe the guy that benefits from this, but clearly we were wrong because it's a Rod team. And
I mean, I wasn't wrong. I've been down on Ehlers all year. Even when he had that hot streak, I was like, it's not going to last, guys.
I wouldn't have been shocked if Ehlers kept line 2, but I thought Ehlers would get PP1, but they'd rather put Blake or Jordan Stahl there. So maybe that doesn't stick.
For everyone. Yeah. Never, ever, ever draft anyone on Rod Brindamore's team. And I will give the exception of Seth Jarvis and an exception to Sebastian Aho. But that's it. Nothing makes sense. Your guy can be putting up 1.5 points per game and Rod will bump him from power play 1 and line 1. The deployment never makes sense. It's a headache all year. There's no one's pushing a gun to your head saying draft this guy, you know? So like just pick the next guy who's equally good but not on Rod's team and his deployment is more secure.
Yep. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, sorry, I just have to go on my Rod tirade anytime I have the chance. But Brandon Hagel is out with an upper body injury. No change to power play 1 because he wasn't on there. But obviously that's a massive loss for, again, the whole team and for anyone who has him because he was playing out of his mind. We had highlighted him as a sell high for a while. So again, this is like when it's with injuries, you can't like tap yourself on the back and say, we called it, you know? But if you did sell high when we told you to, then you're pretty happy about it.
I think this just honestly sucks for Hagel. Like we mentioned it in the Discord, a lot of people were asking questions. Given like in the beginning it was ambiguous if he was gonna miss a lot of time or not. But then listen, they're probably shutting him down until after the holidays. So that's my guess, and it's a head injury, so you don't really want to be risky with that. It just sucks. But at this point, if you have him, I'm not trying to sell because his value is like depreciated right now, unless you can sell him for fair value, which is always fun to do. But if not, I'm just holding, waiting for him to come back. He's going to be good when he comes back. He's just not on power play 1, so his ceiling is capped there. And then maybe he'll have an opportunity to sell again.
Yeah. Okay, Mats Zuccarello returned from injury and took back his spot on line 1, power play 1, bumping off Vladimir Tarasenko. Zuccarello had a 2-point game when he came back. That's got to be one of the best deployments you can have in the league right now on Minnesota with the Quinn Hughes trade and all that. Tarasenko actually is putting up decent numbers even after getting bumped off. I'm still not a believer in the long-term usefulness of him, but as a streamer, he's been doing really well so far.
Yeah, I think... Listen, Zuccarello is one of those guys that his roster percentage is still lower than it should be, I think, given he was hurt and missed some time. And
until he hits 40%, you're going to hear him on our waiver episodes.
Yeah, so honestly, I really like getting exposure to that, Minnesota power play 1 that now has Kaprizov and Quinn Hughes on it, which is nuts. And I think Zuccarello is a super cheap, the cheapest entry point into that power play 1. So I'm really looking forward to, if he's on waivers in one of my leagues, I'm picking him up. Absolutely. And Tarasenko, I think his staying power, like he's somewhat, his fantasy relevance kind of like he went up because he got power play 1 exposure, and then it's kind of stayed there because even though he lost that, he ended up having some chemistry with the other Russians guys. So now his value, I feel like, is lower, but maybe more sustainable in a different way. But I'm not really interested in Tarasenko at all unless you're in the deepest of leagues.
No. All right, Frank Nazar is out about 4 weeks. Seems like Colton Dach might be taking his spot on power play 1, but that Chicago power play is a mess right now. And this really sucks. I mean, for him and for the team, but for him, this would have been his chance. With Bedard out, this is his chance to be a 1C on a team that he's never going to be the 1C on because Bedard is there.
Yeah.
So, it could have been a good development experience, good for, his fantasy value, good for everything. And then he gets injured right away and out for 4 weeks. And by the time he comes back, I assume Bedard's going to be close to coming back or already back. So this really sucks for Nazar. If Colton Dach has power play 1, he's been a pretty solid banger this year, so he could be a deep league pickup. But I expect that offense to be so dry, that whole team.
I mean, we've already talked about so many of the Chicago guys. Like, not only with the loss of Bedard, everybody takes a hit. We mentioned Nazar being the only guy that might have a positive from this. Then he gets hurt for a month. So it's... I do not want to own any Chicago players right now. Nobody's interesting to me at all. And if you still have them, they probably lost all their trade value at this point. Like we've been saying for the last week or two that you need to trade them like the guys like Bertuzzi. If you still have them at this point, I don't think anybody's looking to acquire them, so you might just have to cut and move on.
Yeah, if you're trying to sell them and you have someone who's like half interested, the strategy you should go with is be like, yeah, but wait, when Bedard gets back, he's gonna start popping off again. Now's your chance to get him for cheap, So that's kind of like the argument I would make for trying to sell him, but most likely no one's interested. Okay, Brandon Montour is out for a month with an injury. Riker Evans taking a spot on power play 2. It's kind of a split power play, but this kind of just sucks for Seattle. He's one of their best players, and sucks for Montour. I know he's been having a rough season, so hopefully he'll come back strong, but not much. I'm not picking up Riker Evans or anything like that.
No, I think you IR stash Montour, but as soon as you need a spot, like let's say you already have, let's say on your IR you have Matthew Tkachuk and Adam Fox, and Montour is hurt. You're in the situation where you either just hold a dead spot until Matthew Tkachuk comes back, which we expect it to be like at this point in a few days or a week max, because he was targeting a December 28th return, and then you just IR stash Montour. But if you need the spot, I'm cutting him and moving on. He's really good for shots and blocks, but it comes with stretches as well. It's like some weeks he'll be awful, then some weeks he'll have like 3 shots a game and 3 blocks a game, and you're like, what? Who is this guy? And then you trade him at that point. But exactly. This is just bad for Seattle.
Yeah. All right, here's one that Kevin's going to like. Tristan Jarry is out with a lower body injury. He is out week to week. Calvin Pickard should be the starter in his absence unless Connor Ingram outplays him. So neither one of them, I think, like if they play the same, I think it'll go to Pickard. But if any of them plays better than the other, then that one's going to take it. They've both played one game this past weekend. Both were kind of mid. The thing is, the team is good enough that they can make up for having a mid goalie. Which is like, why did you go and pay all these assets to...
Yeah, when you just have Stuart Skinner who's been doing that his whole career for Edmonton.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, we won't rehash that. But this is more of a, like, who could have seen this coming, But
if you're now a Banger Management fan because we went back and forth in the TikTok comments about that one TikTok and you're a hate watcher or something, I told you so.
Kevin got so into the TikTok comments.
Guys, I was not down bad, but I was frustrated with the comments that people were leaving on that Stuart Skinner TikTok we made, which is also an Instagram and YouTube short and reel and all that stuff. But yeah, no, I went to war, and listen, a week in and I'm already vindicated. So listen,
I love that.
we might know what we're
I love that
talking
for you.
about. Who knows?
Are you going to rushing to pick up either of these goalies?
If I'm desperate for a goalie, then I'll pick up Picard. But besides that, like, he's not super impressive, and like you said, I don't want to pick up Picard and then Connor Ingram becomes the guy, or pick up Connor Ingram and then Picard is the guy. It's like so ambiguous. But if one really outplays the other, and Jarry is still out for multiple weeks, then you just picked up the starter on Edmonton, and you're probably getting a guy that's going to hover around the 900 save percentage or right below, but will probably win 2/3 of his games.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So I think it's like you said, the tough thing right now is we don't know which one's going to get it. So you don't really want to like waste an ad or waste any fab bucks or anything like that on grabbing the wrong one. But keep an eye out. If one of them gets like 2 or 3 starts in a row, then I'm definitely interested in grabbing him until Jarry comes back.
Yep.
Jonathan Marchessault is day-to-day with a lower body injury. Luke Evangelista taking a spot on power play 1. We had already highlighted Evangelista as a interesting pickup, and now he's getting the deployment too.
Mhm.
I don't know if you saw recently, he had this sick end-to-end goal.
Yeah.
And he's clearly got the talent. He's young. He's should be part of their future. So I like him as a pickup a lot, and I wouldn't be surprised if Marchessault coming back doesn't bump him off power play 1. They seem to really have lost favor with Marchessault there.
We just talked about him on the recent waiver episode, and he's the only thing he was missing with power play 1, and this Marchessault injury just like literally opens the door for that. He might be the only bright spot for Nashville between now and the end of the season. I feel like the guys that are already there, they've been maintaining value recently. Like O'Reilly has been good, Stamkos has been good, Marchessault has been bad, but he's now hurt. So Evangelista might be the guy that you want on your roster moving forward if those guys get traded too. So I'm interested. If he's still available in your league and you don't have like a stacked team, I would take the chance on him.
Yep. Here's a fun one for me. Darcy Kuemper is practicing with the goalie coach. They don't want to confirm when he's back. They said he's probably not playing in the next 2 games, which is tonight and tomorrow night. The fact that it's even a possibility makes me think he should be back within 1 to 2 weeks. So that's really exciting because it was kind of a scary injury and we weren't sure what the timeline would be. And obviously this would bump Anton Forsberg from the starter job. Again, I mean, the Kings just have been so bad lately, and Kemper's been like the one bright spot of their season. So obviously, as a Kuemper owner, I still love having him, but it would be nice if they could get some goal scoring going their way.
Yeah, it's tough because Kuemper is an elite goalie. We talked about it last season. Like, he was one of the best value picks in fantasy. Like, you were able to get him in the double-digit rounds. I think I drafted him in the 10th round or 11th round last year in our fantasy drafts, and he was like a top 5 goalie. His goals against average and his save percentage were only second to Hellebuck last season. Yeah. And Hellebuck had a MVP year, so he's really elite when it comes to that. LA has a great defensive system, which really helps, succeed, but they just don't score many goals. So you're not on a juggernaut team because they're not always going to get the wins, even if you're performing like a crazy person. So, but I still like Kuemper.
Frustrating. I mean, he's still amazing to own, but it's been a bit frustrating. Like, he'll put up like a classic Kuemper game this year is 2 goals against, like 0.92 save percentage, and then the loss.
Yeah,
and they'll lose like 2-1. So yeah, but no, super exciting for all Kuemper owners. We dodged a bullet there. Lastly, Leo Carlsson is day-to-day with an injury. Mikael Granlund is taking his spot on line 1 power play 1. I don't expect this to be anything near long-term, very day-to-day, but Granlund has been showing some flashes of being roster-worthy. So I'm definitely taking a look at that. I would pick him up while Carlson's out, and then you might just end up holding on to him.
Yeah, I mean, people were asking questions if we were interested in Granlund in the recent past. And I was definitely pushing back on that, being like, I'm not really interested. Like, he has some good games, but I don't think it's sustainable. And then this injury just like blows the door wide open. Like, he's almost a must roster guy at this point right now, given like how much ice time he's going to get. And he has good quality games in him too. Like, do I think he's the best player in the world? No, but you can't knock the opportunity. So Leo Carlsson, hopefully he's not long term. Like, he's been one of the biggest bright spots this season. Hopefully it's just day to day. Maybe they hold him out until the new year. That's so tough. It's like so ambiguous. It's like he might not have to be held out, but that they might do it anyways just for the extra rest.
That's it. They're like, oh, we can sit him for like 2 games, and that buys him like 2 weeks of rest.
Yeah.
So it's oftentimes they just do that.
But if Granlund's available, I'm a lot of those fringe roster guys or guys you picked up for streaming, like I would cut them for Granlund.
Yeah. All right, let's get into Kevin's famous Would You Rathers.
Hopefully you did not peak.
I never have, never will.
But okay, so the Would You Rather segment is the best part of the Banger Management podcast. I cooked these up. I pick 5 would you rathers. I always try to choose one center, left wing, right wing, defenseman, goalie, and I try to split the line. Usually we're 3, so I try to split Jakey and Josh on separate lines and make them choose each different guy. But today we'll see if Josh and I can split, and we'll just discuss these players, and it's just a great conversation. So starting, I'm trying to pick some high guys, I'm trying to pick some low guys, and some hot topic kind of guys. So
Nice.
let's see how this goes. But starting off hot, this is spicy. Would you rather rest of the season? This is kind of like I'm putting a little asterisk on it because I'm calling this the center position. But would you rather Jack Hughes or Macklin Celebrini rest of season?
Oh my god, that's a really good
These are
one.
studs, guys. These are studs. Jack Hughes just came back. We know he's a high volume shooter. He's one of the best players in the league when healthy.
That's really
Celebrini has been one of the
tough.
best players this season.
Let me take a quick look, but at the stats. But this is real. Oh my god,
it's actually really, really close. I wanted to use the F word really there, but I did not.
Yeah. Okay. So let's try and think of it category by category. Shots, I'm giving the edge to Jack Hughes, but it's not like a game breaker. It's like, let's say Celebrini's a 3.6, 3.7, and Hughes will be like a 4.
Yeah.
So, but give him the edge there. Face-off wins, I'll give the edge to Hughes because of his dual eligibility. So even though he gets fewer, the fact he gets them from a winger position, and Celebrini's not great at them, but obviously a lot of leagues don't count that. And then hits and blocks, neither of them are relevant at. Shorties, neither are relevant at. Power play, Celebrini's at 0.4 over the past month, and 0.4 is kind of where I would expect Hughes to be as well. So if I had to give the edge to one, I would give the edge to Hughes because I trust the New Jersey power play more than San Jose's. So let's give him the edge there. Then overall points, that one's going to be close. I think I have to lean Hughes just because it seems like every category I'm giving him like the slight edge, but it's super, super, super close.
Yeah, I think does this playoff schedule come into play?
Game in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think we've just seen Jack Hughes do it for so long and how elite he is. Does the injury squishiness, quote unquote, come into play for you? Is that like a deal breaker? Would that make you choose Celebrini just because of Jack Hughes has dinner every night and that's always an injury risk?
I mean, that's really fair. I do think actually like one aspect that's kind of like a big advantage for Hughes is that position eligibility, like the dual eligibility.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of leagues you see like every time we talk our waiver episode, right?
Yeah.
We're saying how some of these like pure C's, like it's crazy they're not owned more, and it's because they're pure C's, right?
Yeah.
So just having Hughes and being able to slot him into like a winger position and then being able to grab one like the replacement value at C, I think is higher. So I think that outdoes any squishiness value.
And to me, I'm also going Jack Hughes, so it didn't really split the difference here, but I think it was worth the conversation.
It was super close. No, that's super close.
I think also another thing that's in the Hughes column is that the players that he's playing with, like he's playing with Jesper Bratt, Nico Hischier, Timo Meier, and then whichever defenseman ends up on power play 1. Like he has some star quality next to him, which always means I feel like it gives him the edge in terms of like potential points. Like somebody else can make a play, he can get a secondary assist on that. Whereas Celebrini, like he's an insane player himself, but he's not playing with anybody close to any of those caliber of players. So
whoa, John Klingberg.
And I love my boy William Eklund, but he's not there yet. So
yeah, no, I fully agree. So yeah, gotta go Hughes, but it's surprisingly close.
If Jakey was here, he would definitely pick Macklin Celebrini because he has Celebrini on his fantasy team. So I'll call that splitting the difference.
Split. Yeah, exactly. I'll give it to you.
All right, this next one might be hot. It might be not. So I'm actually curious where you land.
Okay.
But that was kind of like a Dr. Zeus rhyme a little bit.
Yeah, that was good.
Talking defenseman here, everybody's favorite recent pickup, Darren Raddysh or Shane Gostisbehere rest of season.
Wow. Okay, that's a really good one. That's okay.
Gostisbehere is still one of the top defenseman point earners this season, which I feel like he's going under the radar. He's just the type of guy that nobody gives him credit when he deserves it. Darren Raddysh has been sick for Tampa, but he's got the looming Victor Hedman that we don't think he gets power play 1 back. But listen, it's definitely a question.
Okay, I think I have my decision, and it might be shocking, but I like this because you picked 2 guys that I'm both think are overperforming what they should be doing. So it's like they're very kind of similar in that sense. Like I would be selling high if I had either of them. But I'm actually gonna go with Raddysh over Gostisbehere. And I know it's like might seem crazy, but I think they're a very similar archetype of player. I think if I had to give the edge to one of them in terms of backcats, I would go to Raddysh over Gostisbehere. And then in terms of pure points, I think probably Gostisbehere ends up with more. I think the biggest difference is the power play. I think that Raddysh is on one of the best power plays in the league in
Yep.
Tampa, and Carolina is year after year just has an awful power play. So that's a big difference. And then obviously you have to factor in the whole Hedman question.
Yep.
To me, I really think Raddysh is just power play one rest of the year. So I'm valuing him as that.
I kind of tampered, sizzle. What am I trying to say? Like slowed down.
Okay, yeah.
Slowed down on the Raddysh hype, because in the back of my mind I'm like, guys, it's still Victor Hedman, and we've seen him before. Like, if what he wants, he gets. I feel like there's no
Yeah.
world where he comes back and it's just like, I want to be power play. One of the coaches says
Yeah.
no. So I just feel like even if Raddysh is overperforming or doing well, in the back of my mind, Hedman comes back, he's healthy, finally healthy, and not doesn't have any nagging injury, and it's just like, well, I'm the power play one guy, and then that's it, you know. And then Raddysh
That's very
loses all
true.
his value if he gets bumped off.
Absolutely.
Whereas I'm not worried
That
about
is like,
Ghost not being the quarterback for the foreseeable future unless they trade for somebody.
yeah, no, that's
So
completely true. Is that Ghost has the safer floor for sure, because Raddysh could go, if Hedman comes back and bumps him, all of a sudden he's literally a drop.
yeah,
Whereas Ghost is going to secure that and be a hold all season, but the upside on Raddysh is a lot higher. So it
yeah.
really comes down to, do you believe that Hedman coming back is going to bump Raddysh off power play one? And I think Raddysh is going to keep it, but I wouldn't fault you for believing the other one, because at the end of the day, it is Victor Hedman, and it makes no
Yep.
sense that this happened in the first place. But
If we could categorize it like this, like give me Raddysh for like the next month, and then like make the swap to Gostisbehere. That's kind of like how I view it. But
I
also,
like
like,
that.
I'd rather, it's almost like if I had to pick one, I'm stuck with them the rest of the season. Give me Gostisbehere. But if I had one on my fantasy team, I'd like to have Raddysh, because then I could have the potential like to sell him for somebody else. You know, like
Yeah,
he's gonna have more value in the immediate future. And if you're able to capitalize on that and sell him for somebody that like has more staying power, then you probably end up in a better situation. So
yeah.
it's
In
a
my mind, they're both sell highs. So
yeah.
yeah.
All right. Going to number 3, we're talking right wingers, and this feels like a hot topic in itself. I've got a lot of questions about both of these guys, so hopefully you've been seeing the same thing. But we're
Your
talking.
volume's a bit low.
My volume is a bit low. Okay, maybe I'll
Yeah,
just talk from too far away. Is that better?
it's still a bit low.
Okay, well, I did not change anything, so.
It had done a bit at the beginning of the episode. It had gone like low, but then it bounced right back to high. So and then it was high the whole time. But now it's a bit low.
Like, is it like you can't hear me properly? Like,
It's just like quiet. I mean, I could just like, yeah. I don't know
oh,
why.
hold
That's
on.
weird. Like I'm getting a lot of like static on your end, and then it's a bit quiet.
Yeah, I hear you. Hold on. Give me a second. It just changed?
Yeah. Like I say, I had done that like briefly at the beginning, but it was like super short and came back to being good. So then I didn't say anything.
That's weird. Okay, well, I'm just gonna keep going, and then I'll probably fix it in the editing, but can you hear me properly?
Yeah, I can hear you. I just have to ignore the static, but that's fine.
I have no idea what happened.
It's all good. All right, get back to it. You're saying the
All
right
right.
wingers.
We're talking about right wingers. Both of these guys were hot topics in themselves, it feels like. But I want to discuss Troy Terry versus Alex Tuch.
Wow. That's a really good one.
So what do
I
you
I like
think?
that a lot. Okay, well, immediately I can, I know what both their strengths are, right? You're looking at back cats, it's 100% Alex Tuch. He's going to be better at, I mean, like, the shots could be similar because Terry's a decent shooter, but hits and blocks and pims, it's easily Alex Tuch. And then I know Alex Tuch has been putting up the points. I don't trust it because he doesn't have that power play one deployment, and I don't think he's going to get it. I think Terry's going to have more points, and Terry gets shorthanded points this year, which is pretty huge in leagues that count that. So all that together, I'm actually taking Troy Terry over Alex Tuch, but I could see Tuch having more trade value right now. I think Tuch's a great sell high, and yeah, that's kind of how I see it.
I really like Troy Terry. I feel like. Do you hear me right now?
Yeah,
Okay, perfect. I really love Troy Terry because it feels like his deployment is set and he's playing with good quality players. And he's one of those guys that is always, I feel like, the name value doesn't match his actual production. And Alex Tuch, I feel like, is the opposite. I feel like his name value carries him more than his actual production. And his deployment just doesn't match the production that he has. Like, he's been a sell high for a long time. So I'm I'm leaning, I think, Troy Terry in any league that does not have shorthanded points.
you think Terry's better than Tuch at shorties?
I know, but last year Tuch was way better, so I'm like giving him the historical like value of like being good at those.
Yeah, but
But
Terry's better this year, so I would say just
yeah,
like regardless, I would go Terry
But
over
there's
Tuch.
also like Anaheim had a stretch where they got like 5 shorties in like 3 games, and I feel like that's been
Yeah,
carrying their value for a long time.
that's true. That's true. But him and Leo Carlsson on shorthanded are pretty nice
Yeah,
together.
it's really close. I think I'm going Troy Terry, like overall.
Nice.
All right, now we're gonna talk left wingers.
Okay.
These are two guys that one's starting to get hot again, and one is also starting to get hot again. So I want to discuss Pavel Dorofeyev, the power
Okay.
play goat, versus Zach Hyman of the Edmonton Oilers.
I still got to go Hyman on this one. Even though like I think that Dorofeyev can reach Hyman like levels,
Mm-hmm.
but Hyman is already Hyman like.
Yeah.
So I think it could end the season and it ends up being a toss up. But I'd rather have like the safer bet. Like we just saw. I mean, you can say it for both, right? But like we just saw Dorofeyev be awful for like a month and a half to 2 months. But
It's a
obviously, we saw
month.
Hyman be awful for an entire year last year. So
Yeah.
it goes both ways. But I just feel a lot safer. What McDavid and Draisaitl are doing is just absurd. And as good as the Vegas power play is, especially Jack Eichel's going to come back and they're going to have the whole gang back together. It's just it's
Who do
too
you think
good of
gets
a
more power
position
play
that
points?
Hyman's in. I can't bet against anyone on that Edmonton power play not getting more power play points. Like
Okay.
McDavid is averaging a full power play point per game.
I know,
Two
but
other
that's
guys
not
are getting in on
sustainable.
it. No, for sure. But I mean, like that's over the past month. That's a pretty long period of
We see
time.
that
Like
every
obviously,
year though, and then they end up averaging out at like 0.4, 0.45. And
yeah.
Hyman is not the guy that's going to be averaging 0.45 either.
No, Hyman I could see getting like 0.35 and Dorofeyev I could see getting like 0.3. Like it's not going to be
Okay.
like that different. I
What
feel
about
like a lot
shots?
safer in Hyman. Shots I would give Dorofeyev the edge, and then hits I would give Hyman the edge.
Yep. I lean Hyman as well, just because I think the hits definitely adds to his player archetype, and I do think the situation is safer. Like you said, we just saw Dorofeyev get bumped down to line 3 and be awful for over a month. And when he's clicking, he's clicking. Like he's one of the best goal scorers in the league. It feels like he can score from anywhere, and his shot is nasty. Specifically on the power play, he's the trigger man there. So I'm not worried about his power play deployment, but his 5v5 deployment is definitely subject to moving depending on how the team is going and who's healthy and who's not. So I think Hyman has a safe floor with already being somewhat close in value already. So yeah, I think I go Hyman.
Yeah. All right, let's take us home with this goalie.
All right, discussing goalies. I thought this would be fun because this is arguably the two best goalie rooms in the league. But would you rather Jesper Wallstedt or Scott Wedgewood? The battle of
Wow,
the one Bs.
that's unreal. That's really tough.
We saw
I
Wallstedt get
think
4 shutouts in 6 games, and he's been
yeah,
stout, but he's playing less right now. It's like Gus is playing just as good and running with the job. It feels like that was already his to begin with. Scott
yeah,
Wedgwood carried the team, had the locker room in the palm of his hand, then got hurt. Blackwood came back, started playing well again. They were like alternating shutouts as well. So where do you see the situation?
I've got to go with Wedgwood on this one. And the main reason is, first of all, Wallstedt is starting every third game now
Mm-hmm.
instead of going back and forth. And I don't see any situation, barring injury, where Wallstedt gets more than half the starts.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of Wedgwood and Blackwood, I think that Blackwood is way more squishy. So I would not be shocked in the slightest if he gets injured again at some point this year, in which case Wedgwood becomes the starter. Obviously, you can say it goes both ways, right? Where like Wedgwood is
Mm-hmm.
also squishier than Wallstedt,
Yeah.
so you can see it that way. But I just think that Wedgwood has a clearer shot at getting more starts than Wallstedt, and I think the quality is going to be comparable.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to who do you think starts more games rest of season,
Yeah,
and you got to give the edge to Wedgwood after everything we've seen this season and how they're currently playing, and the goalie rotation that they've had. I think Wedgwood is safer to get more games, but also whoever gets injured in front of them, the other guy becomes a league winner. Like if Gus gets injured whilst starting everything, he's insane. If Blackwood gets hurt, Wedgwood, we saw what he can do already. Like in the first 2 months of the season, he was the best goalie in fantasy. So
yeah.
I
But
think
and if I had
both
to
these
bet
guys
which
are
one's
great.
going to get injured, it's more likely to be Blackwood.
Yeah. So, but you don't bank your fantasy championship on potentially who's getting hurt. So, who do you think is giving you better quality in the near future?
I think it's very similar. I don't think you're going to be unhappy with either, but I will give the edge to Wallstedt on that. It just what Minnesota's doing defensively as well as offensively is just unreal. Like Colorado, not that they're bad defensively either,
Mm-hmm.
but they very much are just like, we can outscore anything if we need to,
Yeah.
because we're that good. Whereas with Minnesota, it just seems like every game, like they're letting in like max 2 goals, but mostly just shutouts and 1 goal games. So so I'll give quality to Wallstedt, but I'll give quantity to Wedgewood, and I think the quantity difference is bigger than the quality difference.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. So listen, did not really split the difference on any of these between the two
But
of
those are all
us.
really good ones.
I thought they were all super close and worth having the conversation, and hopefully everybody was able to, gather some extra insight on these guys. And if they're on your rosters, maybe you have a better idea of how to value them and maybe what you can do with them. And if you don't have these guys on your roster, then maybe you can make a swap. So
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of good thoughts out there. But I guess that wraps it up for this episode.
Yeah.
Um, if you guys made it this far, we really appreciate it. That's our week 12 news and updates with Would You Rather's episode in the books. Please follow us on all the social medias you can that you're active on: TikTok, X, Instagram, all that good stuff. We're Banger Management Fantasy Hockey on all of them. So drop us a follow there. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple or wherever else, follow the podcast. Give us 5 stars if you like what you hear. If you made it this far, you probably like what you hear. So that's like 5 stars. And if you're on YouTube and you like what you're looking at, and like what you're listening to, subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff, and join the Discord community. Once again, the community is popping. We're growing. It's really fun engaging with all of you guys, talking trades, start sits, roster construction, all that good stuff. Even some fantasy drafts happening in the middle of the year.
Yeah. Honestly, the Discord's just growing and growing. It feels like every day a new channel's being added.
Yeah,
So
I just added a bragging channel in there. So for all those people that had a stud on their roster or made a good move or a good trade, like, come brag about it. We're
yeah,
talking.
we also
So
just added a playoff prep schedule. I know some
yeah,
people are interested in that. So there's lots of good stuff going on there. Definitely join in. But let's I think I'm gonna take it away.
yeah. Take it away, Renee.
Bow bow Banger Management Fantasy Hockey Podcast. Woo!
Woo!
Woo
Woo
from
for
Japan.
Jacob. Jake, your third co-host. Don't forget him.
He's real, I swear.
Yeah.